Fight!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Fighting with Numbers. This is episode 45. Hell yeah. How about that? How about them numbers? Welcome back. We are here. Last week, not a bad week, let me tell you. I went to my first Apex event here in Las Vegas for Bilal Muhammad, Gabriel Bonfim, and man, for as much as I trash on the Apex as far as a television product goes, you don't get a lot of energy as far as the TV goes. You're really just reliant on the commentators and the fights. No crowd energy, nothing like that spills out onto the television broadcast. But as far as a live spectator experience goes, it's actually very cool. Very, very unique experience. It's pretty cool. I mean, the last row in my section could scream at the guy in the last row of the other section. Shout out to the guy yelling at the fighters about his parlays. Guess what? They don't give a shit about that. So cut that out. But anyways, very cool experience. Shout out Zaid Hussein, who invited me and my First Strike co-host Dave Ross to it. Very cool experience. Very thankful for it. I'll definitely be making my way to another Apex event as long as they keep having them. I'm going to assume they're going to keep doing that. Now, how did the model do last week? It went 5-3, actually. It's a solid week. We keep building, right? We just keep on stacking it. We keep finding edges. The process continues to hold up. The season record now sits at 67, 37, and 6. That's 64.4% on the year, right in our range, right where we've been the last few years. So we're pretty comfortable right now knowing what is hitting and what will not. For example, last week, really had just one big bet on Chelsea Chandler that hit very well. First round, it was cool to see that live. And in the main event, I stayed away from Bilal, which that was the instinct, right? It was a tier 5 trap favorite, so we stayed away from Bilal. While I was there, I did fire on significant strike props. Found Gabriel Bonfim down at like 61 projected from Caesars Sportsbook. Man, my projections had him near the 90s. He hit well over that as well. I just saw a longer fight, right? I saw a 5-round fight kind of happening based on the stats and the numbers that I saw. And so fired on that. So sometimes we find fun ways to find some profit on a fight. But you guys don't care about last week. You guys care about this week because this is America's week. Now, right now, UFC Freedom 250. How about that? I feel like we've been talking about this crazy ass card for a while, building it up, but here we are. I don't really know how to open this one. If I'm, I mean, it's the UFC. They're fighting on the lawn of the White House, outside, by the way, outdoors in Washington, D.C., 2 title fights. It's a historic moment, however you look at it, right? However you want to look at it. I know there's other elements floating around this situation, but I'm just here to talk about fights. I'm here to just talk about what's happening inside the cage and a little bit of outside because, hey, we got to worry about the elements there. And whatever you think about, whatever side of the aisle you sit on, I'll let you form your opinions there. Some of you got crazy ones, some of you don't. You have to admit, getting the UFC to set up an octagon on the White House lawn is probably one of the more American things I've ever seen since living in this country. Not surprised. It probably is the most American thing you can ever put together. And we'll let historians figure that out years down the road. What I do know is that the outdoor setting does create some genuine unknowns, whether the crowd energy, right? I talked about the Apex. It's a weird crowd energy in the Apex. It's cool, but it's different. This is going to be unlike anything else. Say what you will about the people that will get to be in the actual crowd around the octagon. It's going to be unknown, very unknown what type of energy they're going to bring towards the fighters. Add that, it's just an overall uncontrolled environment, unlike anything these fighters have prepared for as far as their professional UFC careers go. Yeah, Justin Gaethje said his very first MMA fight was outside. That's nothing compared to the level you're at now, Justin. That's not nothing, though, and it factors into how we're going to approach the card. I mean, for example, the weather Sunday, currently, as I'm recording on a Tuesday, the weather on Sunday in Washington, D.C., we're projected 88 degrees, 71% humidity. That sucks. 35% precipitation. So there's potential for rain. We will see. It does say light rain in the old Google machine. Yeah, it looks like we're going to get rain later in the day. Hey, look at that. Around the time the fights may be going on. Yeah, this will be interesting to see what they decide to do. I mean, either way, whether it rains or not, that octagon will be wet because 71% humidity. I'm sorry, you're gonna sweat like none other, and that's it's just gonna soak in there. I don't know if they're gonna wash the mats in between fights. I mean, there's only 7, I think 7, 8 fights, something like that on the card, so it'll move pretty quickly. They're treating this like a pay-per-view schedule, but we'll see. And a quick reminder, these fights go down on Sunday, not Saturday. Why would they go on a Saturday? It doesn't make sense. Why would it happen on July 4th? Of course not. It doesn't make sense. It goes down this Sunday, June 14th. So remember that. Mark your calendar. Saturday night, you guys have it off. Sunday night, focus on the fights. So how about we get into this crazy ass card, huh? I reminded you about the date, and now it's time to remind you that I am Rob Moreno, aka Bobby Knuckles, aka The Robbio. Find me across all social medias at The Robbio. Full model data, season dashboard at fightingwithnumbers.com. Check it out. It's worth your time. Trust me. So let's go. Had to drink a little water there real quick. I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before I got going. Had peanut butter stuck. Peanut butter and jelly. I think that's American, I believe. That was my American meal before talking about this. Let's see. Peanut butter, jelly, sandwich, origin. New York. Boom. I had an American lunch before jumping into the pod. So let's start right here and let's appreciate this matchup for what it is before the numbers come out. Diego Lopes is coming off his second title loss to Alexander Volkanovski. But let's put it in context. Both losses are to one of the greatest featherweights in UFC history. Outside of Volkanovski, Lopes was on a 5-fight win streak and squeezed in a TKO over Gene Silva in between those title shots. He's a legitimate elite featherweight. He's tough. He's never been finished. And he's got his eyes on a third title opportunity eventually. This fight is that first step towards that path again. Across from him, though, speaking of toughness, is Steve Garcia on a 7-fight win streak with 6 of those wins by TKO. Nasty. Most recently, a knockout over David Onama in November. This man is a finishing machine. Mean machine, to be specific. He has 15 professional wins by knockout as well. 7 inside the UFC. He is dangerous every second he's in the cage. Garcia will hold a 3-inch reach advantage at 75 inches, and the XR percentage picture is where the story really starts to fold. XR percentage, Garcia at 70%. Lopes, my man, at 47%. Now, that Lopes number isn't entirely surprising. When you're in wars the way you are, especially Volkanovski twice, 25 minutes, you're going to give up rounds, but 47% is still a red flag. The striking is where Garcia really stands out. He lands a 4.84 significant strikes per minute with a remarkable 2.96 differential, absorbing just 1.87 per minute. That's incredible. He's not standing in front of shots. He's moving. He's sharp, and he's finding his targets. He spends 41% of his time at distance as well. He likes to close the gap and work up close, which plays into his finishing ability. He has been knocked down 5 times himself in his UFC career, but his last knockdown came in 2023. His head strike defense has climbed since then to 67%, so he's learning to protect himself better. Obviously, only absorbing 1.87 is a great way to avoid getting knocked down again. Now, Lopes lands 4 significant strikes per minute, but carries a negative 0.58 differential, absorbing about 4.5 per minute. He gets into firefights. That's just who he is. It's what makes him stronger. It's who he is through and through. He's scored 5 knockdowns in the UFC and has never been knocked down himself, which is crazy to think when you look at who he's been in the cage with. Freaking granite chin. The man simply will not go to sleep, but absorbing 4.5 significant strikes per minute against Garcia's finishing ability could be a concern. The grappling is almost an afterthought here, a combined 11 takedowns between two men, and both hold strong takedown defenses in the 74 to 79% range. This fight lives and dies on the feet. The model lands on the underdog, Steve Garcia, 82% win probability. That's a massive number, and he's sitting at plus 145 right now. And as you can see on the screen, tier 1 live dog. I know there may be new listeners. If you're wondering what the tiers are, feel free to go check out fightingwithnumbers.com. There's a little bit more of a breakdown, but essentially each fight, underdog or a favorite, gets put into a tier. Tier 1s or where we like to live. Live dogs on the year are currently 8-5. We want to keep that in the positive, and at plus 145, the model is projecting Garcia wins this fight more than 4 times out of 5, while the book is giving you plus money in that respect. So one caveat, and I truly mean this, the outdoor environment is a genuine wild card for every single fight I talk about here. Wind, elements, crowd energy, unlike anything either fighter has ever seen. Insects, I mean, we might deal with insects in the octagon. Like, I don't even know how to process that. That unpredictability cuts both ways. So, as far as the model goes, I'm still playing the dog. It's a very chalky looking card when you really look at it. So, going against Diego Lopes hasn't always worked for me, obviously, but I like a live dog here, and I'm taking a chance on Steve Garcia in what should be a chalky card. So Steve Garcia, plus 145, tier 1 live dog. We don't have to hit all the dogs. We just got to hit a couple, and right now we're still profitable. We're hoping this one stays right there. Freedom! Sorry, I feel like that should be my way back into these. History is on the line here, folks. Alex Pereira, Ciryl Gane. Let's acknowledge this before anything else. Alex Pereira has attempted to become the first 3-division UFC champion in history. And the path he's taken to get here is genuinely unlike anything we've seen in this sport. He captured the middleweight belt after just 3 UFC fights, by the way, knocking out Israel Adesanya, the dominant champion of that era, by the way. He lost it back to him, moved up to light heavyweight, captured the interim light heavyweight title against Yuri Prochazka, defended the unified belt 3 times, dropped it to Ankalaev, reclaimed it, vacated the whole thing, and now he's moved up to heavyweight for a shot at the history books. Are you not entertained? That is a resume that doesn't fit neatly into my model, by the way, and I'll be transparent about that. We don't account for weight changes, right? Alex Pereira, I mean, we didn't account for him moving up to light heavyweight. We're not accounting for him moving up to heavyweight. It's just part of the math you got to do in your head. Ciryl Gane, on the other side, is entering his 5th heavyweight title fight in 5 years. Yes, 5th. Most of the times you've watched Ciryl Gane fight, he's probably fighting for a title, at least in the last 5 years. He won the interim belt in 2021, lost 2 other opportunities to unify or win it again, and through a controversial eye poke situation against Tom Aspinall, let's not forget, he finds himself with yet another title shot. The heavyweight division is thin, and that is proof of it, because who else is going to fight for the title right now, if not Ciryl Gane? Just go ahead, look at the rankings, figure it out. I mean, the division is thin enough that the math just keeps working out in his favor, and so when they need a title guy, Gane is a legitimately elite, and the numbers back that up. So he's next for a title again. Now, these stats don't represent a division change for Pereira, as I mentioned. His numbers are built from middleweight and light heavyweight. We take what we have and apply it with context. Approach cautiously. XR percentage. Ciryl Gane, 79%. Pereira at 60%. Championship level control for Ciryl Gane. Pereira's number, it reflects rounds given up in his title defenses, right? And that decision lost to Ankalaev doesn't help either. But he doesn't always need to win the rounds to win the fights. We know that about him. Ask Khalil Roundtree. But the number is what it is. It is 60%. The striking is actually pretty fascinating, in my opinion. Pereira lands 5.16 significant strikes per minute with a 1.67 differential and has scored 7 knockdowns in the UFC. The power is real. We know that. That left hand is deadly. It has always been deadly. The question is whether that light heavyweight power translates now to a 3rd division, right? And here's what surprised me when I ran Ciryl Gane's numbers. They're actually not that bad. He lands 5.29 significant strikes per minute with a 2.97 differential, absorbing just 2.33 significant strikes per minute. His striking is genuinely very clean. He's not just a big athletic mover. He's efficient and controlled on the feet. The power may not match Pereira's. He's only got 3 knockdowns scored, but he doesn't need power if he's landing cleaner and taking less damage. The grappling could matter too. Pereira holds just an 8% control rate in clinch and ground time. He does not want this on the ground. Ciryl Gane holds 53%, and he has the size and athleticism to use the cage effectively. Whether he chooses to mix that in will be part of his game plan, and that's up to him. Assuming we know what one fighter is going to do in the cage when they should or should not, is a dangerous game, and I'll say that every week if I have to. Dang it. The model. Let's run it through. Crunch the numbers. Beep, boop, boop, beep. It lands. Hey, Cyril gone. The model does not want history to happen, unfortunately. How dare you, model? But Cyril gone does get flagged as a tier 5 trap favorite. Usually, normally, that designation ends the conversation. I move on. I just warn you guys to play cautiously. Tier 5's only hitting 55% on the year, by the way. We walk away. The process says, stay away from this fight. But here's where I have to be honest with you. I'm going to be totally transparent. We're going to go behind the scenes here and go inside my head and inside my heart, and we're going to speak the truth. This is a historical fight, regardless of the outcome. And I'm going to tell you something I almost never say on this podcast. I'm making a bet straight from the heart here, not the model. I'm backing Alex Pereira to make history. The odds are essentially minus 110. I have really thought that this price would have gone up because I thought Alex Pereira was a fan favorite enough where his price was just going to get killed with minus numbers and be a bigger favorite at least, and then could get Cyril gone at a plus price. But here we are, minus 110. Still, it's a short price for someone I think is incredible and special and unique in the UFC. I'm not backing him because the model says so. Although Cyril gone being a trap favorite does give me some confidence in that. But Poatan has done things in this sport that no model would have predicted at the time. And if there's one fighter alive who could become the first 3-division champion on the lawn of the White House, because why not? It's going to be Alex Pereira, man. Is it disciplined? Not fully. This is a D-Gen only type of play. Is it justified by the numbers? I mean, I can find my way there. But this event is unlike anything the UFC's ever done. They may say, this is something we're never doing again. But, Dana White tells as many truths as never mind. And sometimes we're just allowed to have a little fun as a bettor, right? So, official model prediction, Cyril gone. My personal bet is Alex Pereira on history. Enjoy the chaos, people. All right, now main event time. Sorry, wait, I forgot. Freedom! All right, I yelled out freedom. We're good. Main event time. Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. Let's go. The undisputed lightweight championship and another undefeated fighter standing across from Justin Gaethje, which, if you know your UFC history, hasn't gone well for Gaethje before. Ilia Topuria vacated the featherweight title to chase lightweight gold, knocked out Charles Oliveira, another legend, another statement. If you guys watch wrestling, he's essentially our current version of Randy Orton back when he was the legend killer. He just keeps knocking these dudes out and just crushing our memories of these fighters. And Topuria became the undisputed lightweight champion a year ago last June. 16-0. Insane. 29 years old. And honestly, he still looks like he's just getting better and better. Justin Gaethje is the interim lightweight champion. He dominated Paddy Pimblett for 5 rounds in January as a 2-1 underdog, by the way, and he captured that interim belt. Before that, a classic veteran tour. He had a win over Chandler, 2 wins over Fiziev, a TKO win over Dustin Poirier, losses to Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira mixed in over the last handful of years. Those last 2 names should ring a bell because Ilia Topuria handled both of them very, very easily. Gaethje is now 37 years old. This is likely his last legitimate shot at undisputed gold. Let's face it. Sorry. I'm not even sure how he got the interim shot at gold, but I get it. Sometimes you just got to make a fight, and he was there, and he was available. So let's start with the size question, because something I've been hearing over and over is Justin Gaethje just looks like the bigger man. Ilia Topuria is so small. Everyone asks it. Topuria is 5'7". Gaethje is 5'11", 4 inches of height. But Gaethje only has 1 inch reach advantage. And look, Holloway is 5'11". Oliveira is 5'10". Topuria has never once looked intimidated by the bigger man across the cage. It reminds me of this quote. I heard Anderson Silva say it. I looked it up. It's from Rickson Gracie. And it was, if size mattered, the elephant would be the king of the jungle. Ilia Topuria has just been dominant regardless. XR percentage. Let's do the stats. Topuria at 71%. Gaethje down at 49%. Gaethje lives for reckless exchanges. He always has. The XR percentage reflects it. The striking is where you understand just how different these fighters are, though. Topuria lands 4.81 significant strikes per minute with a clean .97 differential. 7 knockdowns scored, absorbing just under 4 significant strikes per minute. He's composed and absolutely lethal. Gaethje lands 6.48 significant strikes per minute. High volume, but he carries a negative .57 differential. That means he's absorbing over 7 significant strikes per minute. He essentially uses his face generously to defend punches. I don't recommend that, but hey, I'm not a UFC fighter. Even Paddy Pimblett, he landed 153 significant strikes on Justin Gaethje in a fight he lost. That's just who Justin is. He's going to stand in front of you and try to land the bigger shot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it really doesn't. The ground game is, well, it's mostly irrelevant here. Gaethje has 4 career takedowns at 40% accuracy. That's not what he's looking to do to win, which is wild. But Topuria has 11 takedowns. That's actually surprising. 61% takedown accuracy. I don't know the last time I saw him use that, but he's not going to the ground either. Honestly, it's not where their bread is buttered. He wants to turn the lights off fast, turn the TV off. 94% takedown defense for Ilia Topuria as well. Means Gaethje won't be changing the fight's location anyways. So this is standing. These are hands. They're going to go. 79% control rate for Topuria, 74% for Gaethje. But again, it's a striking fight from the opening bell. This is the UFC Freedom card. They want entertainment. They don't want 2 guys wrestling in there and hoping to get a submission. They don't want to see that. They want to see 2 dudes bang. I'm not making a weird pun there. I promise I'm not trying to. The model, man, just act surprised for me. But it lands on Ilia Topuria. 87% win probability. Tier 1 elite favorite. Those are hitting very well in our model. His money line is sitting at minus 510, implying 83%. The model has him at 87%. There's a tiny sliver of edge there, but we're not laying minus 510 on a one-night event, right? Especially one with the most unknown elements we've seen. That number's not getting touched. The prop market will probably be where it gets interesting, but honestly, Topuria by knockouts around minus 225. Some may say that's the freest money you'll ever see. Honestly, not the best price for a method play, in my opinion. Under 1.5 rounds is sitting at minus 105 right now. And if Topuria comes out hot, also no pun intended on the weather, but if he comes out hot in front of the White House crowd, decides to make this a quick night, that's an incredibly juicy number for what the model thinks is an 87% situation. I'll probably look to pair Topuria in a small parlay to make the chalk palatable. Go check out fightingwithnumbers.com. There's more fights that were modeled, and you'll see there's plenty of chalk to play with this week. But under 1.5 rounds at minus 105 is the most interesting standalone thing I can see on the board if you believe in El Matador making a statement. I will talk to my totals guy tomorrow on First Strike, Dave Ross, master of the totals. We'll see. We'll get his opinion, see if I actually make a play on that under 1.5. Topuria is the pick through and through. The money line stays in the pocket. Under 1.5 rounds, minus 105 will be worth a look. All right, America and the rest of the world, because I am international, as you know, Mr. Worldwide. That's the UFC White House card. UFC Freedom 250. What a night this is going to be. It's going to be something to watch for sure. I'm not hoping that it rains, by the way, but a little bit of rain, just because I want to know what the logistics are. As someone who has worked television production for years and years and years, radio production, my production brain is very curious what plan B is if it rains. So that's the only reason I don't want these fights canceled. Come on. I don't want them fighting in the rain, but my production brain is curious. What is the plan, Mr. White? Dana White, not just any white person. But it's going to be an incredible night. 2 title fights. Big title fights, by the way. History potentially being made by Alex Pereira. And hey, we got a live dog for you kids out there. Whatever happens on that lawn, and I genuinely have no idea what's going to happen on that lawn, it's going to be must-watch fights. Take everything aside. These are great fights being put together, and they should be watched for the entertainment purposes. You get the idea. The government's unpredictable. I get it. But the fight game, there'll be some clarity in there. We're at 67, 37, and 6 on the year. We're going to keep on grinding. Head over to fightingwithnumbers.com for the full season dashboard, the model data, breakdowns, all in one place, tales of the tape for you. It's all there. It's free. Just check it out. Go visit. and then stop on by to my social media and say hi. You can always find me on Twitter, X, and Instagram at the Robbio. If you're enjoying the show, subscribe, leave a rating, share the episode with a fellow fight fan. It helps more than you know. I'm up on YouTube as well. Search for the Robbio, search for Fighting with Numbers. You'll get there, I promise. Or just go to fightingwithnumbers.com. Links are all there. I appreciate you all for tuning in every single week. We're going to keep growing and we're going to keep showing out. This one's going to be special. It's a very special week. And remember, fights are on Sunday. Don't miss them. They're on Sunday. If you tune in on Saturday and you're like, where are the fights? Did I miss it? No. It's on Sunday. Make sure. And remember, it's not on July 4th. It's this week in June. All right. We'll talk next time.
Perfect.